been there. I've touched the top of a ceiling a couple, like the top of the bleachers at a couple places watching my son play for the Redskins.
On today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches podcast, Dr. Adams and Coach Francis discuss Week 9 of the NFL season, share their thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and Odell Beckham Jr., as well as providing predictions for Week 10. Welcome to today's show. Dr. Keith Adams is the president of the CKA Save Project, a nonprofit organization designed to assist student athletes and the people who work with them through educational and professional development. He is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college levels. He has won numerous championships and epitomizes professionalism. Coach Mike Franchise Francis is one of the most successful football and basketball coaches in the state of Maryland. He too is a career academic and athletic leader with close to 30 years of experience on the high school and college level and is self-admittedly a little rough around the edges. Both men have mentored countless student athletes, teachers, and coaches using their unique methods and approaches to leadership. Both men also share a unique and special friendship that was cultivated often through their unique perspective of life and leadership. Dr. Adams through his extensive educational background and Coach Francis through his life experiences. Can these two men share a podcast without driving each other crazy? Welcome to the Odd Coaches podcast.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today is my tag team partner, the Davy Boy Smith to my Owen Hart, the icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike Francis. And Coach, I had to kick it back to Davy Boy because I watched the Shockmaster event, and when he said he fell on his horse, that just made me think of Owen and the ribs that Owen used to do. So I hope you're doing well on this Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the OCP.
I'm well. How you doing, man? I'm glad to be here.
Well, I was a little worried about you because we had some L's. So
yes.
Share what's on your mind, sir.
Oh man, the Giants. Whoa. Like who is this team? Like the Giants winning today. And they won actually against a pretty good opponent, like a game I thought they would have lost in years past. The Chiefs struggle without Aaron Rodgers being their quarterback. That's very notable. That is big time notable, And man, my Dallas Cowboys losing to the Broncos.
1 o'clock game time. I think it was the 1 o'clock game time. They're not used to playing at 1. They're used to playing at 4. So, one, I'm going to hit your stuff first. I thought the Giants would be this Giants that we're seeing now. But those first 5 weeks, because in our preview episode, I was talking about that 5th place schedule, and I thought they may be able to sneak in, and they were getting the brakes beat off of them. So I kind of left them alone. Second, why they do Jordan Love's people like that, man? They had his mom and his girlfriend on the last section of the last row.
I've been there.
What
I've been
was
there.
that?
I've been there in my son's games. That's what they do. Family, you get a certain section of they got a certain block of tickets, and you only got a certain time you can get it. So I've been there. I've touched the top of a ceiling a couple, like the top of the bleachers at a couple places watching my son play for the Redskins.
Washington football team.
Oh, excuse me.
I know. Yeah. All right. So I do want to ask in my top stories 3 questions and get your answer to it. Mm-hmm. Who had the worst loss today? Dallas or Buffalo losing to Jacksonville? What do you think, sir?
Dallas, because where Dallas was at, and I told you at some point it was going to happen, but at home against the Broncos.
After they traded Von Miller.
Come on, man.
But Buffalo lost to Jacksonville and only scored 6 points.
I never believed in Buffalo. I know they were good, but I didn't see them as – after about week 3, I didn't see them as a team that was going to compete for the Super Bowl. I just couldn't see it anymore. You know what I mean?
All right. So second question, who had the biggest win? Cleveland or New England? Who had the
Cleveland.
biggest win?
Cleveland. All the struggles they've had lately, being able to get back, I think it was Cleveland. Cleveland had the
That
biggest
addition
win.
by subtraction thing you keep
I,
telling me about.
I believe in it.
The best way to cure cancer is to remove it from the body. And they removed some. I don't know, man. I got to tell you, I have this love affair with New England this year. I've got my fingers crossed that I made this outlandish pick in the preseason that New England not only is going to make the playoffs, but make a run. So I'm still hanging out with the Pats and Belichick. And then the third and final question for this segment, who is the biggest disappointment of these three teams? Kansas City, San Francisco, or Minnesota? Because they were all supposed to do something this year. Who, in your opinion, is the biggest disappointment thus far?
Kansas City, hands down. They got the best quarterback. It was thought they were going to go for, third time. But, those other two, they're just on their climb up. Like, I didn't even think the Vikings were going to be as good as they are. Like, they playing pretty good football, man. The Vikings are playing pretty good football. I mean, they lost today to the Ravens in overtime, but to be in overtime against Baltimore, like that's saying something. That's saying something about their improvement.
Well, what are the Vikings though? They're like 3-5 or whatever. We're gonna reach out to our crack research staff and ask them to look up the Vikings record. And
he said,
I don't know about San Francisco. I don't know about San Francisco either. We got one of those boy geniuses down there, the Shanahan kid, and with Jimmy Garoppolo and the who's the kid from New Mexico State or North Dakota State?
They're both 3-5. Okay, they're both
3-5.
Yes, sir. They're both 3-5.
So I gotta think Kansas City too, but man, Kirk Cousins stole a lot of money, buddy, and he's gonna steal some more next year.
I was gonna say he did it in DC, didn't he?
That guy is a criminal with no gun and no mask. He's just robbing people,
just backing the truck up.
And on that note, we'll take a brief break and be right back with more Coaches Podcast.
Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project's book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success, is being released on November 15, 2021. The book serves as both a memoir of Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student-athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes numerous personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues, including former George Mason standout, Baller and Campbell. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is our Top Shelf Tuesday edition as we wrap up Week 9 of the NFL season. And second tier stories. I know what I'm going to bother Coach Francis about this week, so I sent it to him in advance. But I definitely want to hear what his second tier stories are before I go on my patented rant.
Second tier stories this week. Chargers struggle with the Eagles. My man lost. The Saints lost 27-25. A little disappointed. I'm really rooting for the Saints. That's pretty much it far as that's concerned because, the Cardinals just going to be the Cardinals, as we talked about before.
McCoy. I'm sure the Washington football team will take Colt McCoy right now.
That not good.
Cashing some checks.
That's not good. That's not good.
Well, Coach, there has been a lot of news the last 7 days, and there's 4 stories that I sent you
Hmm.
that I said, man, I just got to get these things off my chest and let you share some items. And the first thing I want to formally talk about is Aaron Rodgers and how the NFL treated him.
Mm.
So, as our listeners know, Green Bay's quarterback and the reigning MVP tested positive for COVID. The NFL issued a statement and said the primary responsibility for enforcing COVID 19 protocols is with the team, not the league. So they passed that off.
Hmm.
Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers said in an ill advised interview with Pat McAfee, but I'll leave that alone. Whoever his agent is should be fired. That he did not lie when discussing his vaccination status. And he has followed almost all of the protocols. So
Almost.
Aaron Rodgers admitted that he didn't follow all of the protocols, almost all of them, but not all of them.
Hmm.
He also confirmed that he underwent a treatment designed to raise his immunity and appealed to the NFL to be considered vaccinated, but he lost that appeal. Finally, before I let you go, he is now the former spokesperson of Prevea Health, a local medical care group, and the Coupe de Gracie,
The
coup de
Coupe
grace, if you
de
will,
Gracie.
Daffy Duck. Green Bay's head coach, Matt LaFleur, said he doesn't believe Aaron Rodgers' comments will be a distraction. Paging Jordan Love, who didn't look very good today. Coach, how are we feeling about Aaron Rodgers, sir?
Yeah, it's too much for me to try to keep track of what's going on. Wasn't it just a week before, not too long ago, like they were showing him, like wasn't he at a party or something dressed up for
Uh,
Halloween?
I
And
believe it was
like,
John Wick, I think, but don't
yeah,
quote me. But yes,
yeah, like so I was trying to figure out once I heard this, I'm like, wait a minute, was he at a super spreader? What's going on? Like I don't, what was everybody else doing? Like how long ago was this? So that's what was on my mind. And as far as the organization, the NFL front office going to cover themselves point blank and throw it on their organization. They ain't going to never take, responsibility. They're going to try their best to avoid it. So,
so let me get this off my chest so then we can move on. In our Wind Up Wednesday episodes, we often talk about Kyrie Irving. And in this situation, at least Kyrie told us, and he's staying home. Aaron Rodgers was with people without a mask during interviews and all types of things.
mm,
And as a parent and as somebody who has elderly parents and I'm working in a school system, I'm nervous every day.
mm,
And I can imagine how nervous other people are in their own situations in their own lives. So to have him follow almost all of the protocols. Again, hopefully nothing happened with anyone and it was only just Aaron Rodgers, but man, that's some selfish stuff right there. And that was extremely disappointing to have that situation. And I appreciate you letting me get that off my chest because now we're going to talk about OBJ. Odell Beckham Jr. The Cleveland Browns released Odell Beckham from his contract, and as a part of his settlement, the Browns agreed to remove the final 2 years of his deal. So he's more likely than not going to be a free agent on the day this show releases. Any team that claims him off waivers, which I don't anticipate they will, would inherit $7.25 million, and he's on the final year of a deal. So again, I can't imagine any team, reaching out and doing that. Um, and I always say to folks, yesterday's solutions lead to today's problems, and be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. He was in New York. He was doing well, thought he should get the ball more or whatever was going on. Had the famous one-handed catch, got the hair blonde, whatever. Since that time, he went to Cleveland, got injured, and now at the end of the day, he's a 29-year-old wide receiver coming off injury and has been quite unspectacular. And this is a what have you done for me lately business of athletics. And NFL, as you know, stands for not for long.
at all.
Any thoughts on OBJ, sir?
Well, my son was in New York for the preseason. It was like it was crazy. It was just crazy. The way they moved, the way he moved, as opposed to everyone else on the team. All the girls, like the women, the family, his Bentley. Like it was like it was the New York Giants, and then it was him. You know what I mean? Like it just seemed from the outside looking in, like he just didn't seem connected to the team at any point in time. Though it was a very short period of time, but you know me, I'm a coach. I look at things like that. I notice things like that. So um, I don't know what kind of relationship he had with everybody on the team, but it just looked like to me he was a little Kyrie-ish. I'll say it that way.
Now I gotta ask you, as a dad, what did you think about his pops sending out the video showing Baker missing his son on multiple occasions? Give me
Oh,
your thoughts on that,
oh,
because it's not in my nature to even say a word at my kid's game, and this guy's posting YouTube videos or whatever he did.
I ain't say, man, that was tough. That was really, really tough. But that kind of goes to show you like where the leadership is and what he's used to doing. And like, if I did that, I think my son would probably disown me. I know that for sure. Like if I send a tweet out, you know what I mean? If I send a tweet out, I got to be careful of everything I tweet so it doesn't come back on him. You know what I mean? As
Hmm.
a father, you do that. Your family, anything you can't stand on, and I can't stand on what his business. That's not my business. That's his business. He makes the money for that. I have an opinion, but I can't make no video. Like I ain't no, I can't do that. Boy, if I could, do you imagine what I'd have for Randy Edsel?
I'm going to let that one go
Mm,
and come to the saddest story that I wanted to discuss formally. Henry Ruggs III, and we now have a fuller sense of what happened. So let me paint the picture for our listeners. Former Las Vegas Raiders receiver Henry Ruggs III is facing two additional felony charges as well as misdemeanor following his involvement in a fiery car crash last week that left a 23-year-old woman dead, and his girlfriend, and she was injured as well. Um, he's initially faced with being charged with felony driving under the influence, resulting in a death, as he was clocked at 156 miles an hour and had a blood alcohol level of twice the legal limit in the state of Nevada. As a social studies teacher, I've actually studied Nevada law prior to this, and I know that Nevada law is some of the strongest drunk driving laws in the country. That what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's a catchphrase and an advertisement. But if you recall, O.J. Simpson was accused of killing two people in California, and he was acquitted of those crimes. But in Las Vegas, he was accused of stealing his own stuff, and he spent like 7 to 9 years in jail. So prosecutors now have to decide to charge what to formally charge with, but there's going to be prison time. And it is just a sad situation. And to know that the NFL has a car service, to
mhm.
know all of what they do in terms of prepping and conversations, etc. It's a really sad situation. And right now, I am saddened because he's 22 years old, and this bad decision, it really will have a long lasting effect on him,
Yes.
families, etc.
Hmm.
So, being in your situation as a coach and a mentor, any thoughts before we move to the final part of this segment?
I pray every day that I don't wake up and see my son on the ticker. I pray every day. We know they live a certain lifestyle, and not that say that he would do this, but you know, uh, they live a certain lifestyle. They're around things more than the other people, and one bad decision can definitely change your life. Not saying that. Uh, it's just you never know. Henry
Yeah.
Ruggs, no one even knew the guy before this. Like, I mean, they knew of him as a football player, but you know, it, this is sad for everyone involved, not just
Yeah.
not him. I'm not excusing him, so for nobody
Mhm.
take it that way. I'm sad for the families, the girlfriend, It's a lot of
Yeah.
people who.
Herman Edwards is very famous for saying nothing good happens after midnight. We as
Nope.
coaches are
Hmm.
famous for saying that.
Hmm.
And the thing as a coach that I always worried about was when the routine was broken up. And this
Hmm.
happened during an off week. It happened during a bye week. So
Hmm.
again, the routine as a college coach. I was always nervous before we get our hands on them because they got back to school in the middle of August, but basketball officially starts like November 1st in college. And
Right.
it was always that time. And you, as a football coach, those last 2 weeks in July, I can just see you biting your fingernails off. And man, just let's get to camp. And so, again, as you said, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of everybody involved. And the last thing I do want to mention as we bring it back to on field items are injuries, man. Derrick Henry
Hmm.
is lost for the season.
Yes.
I have touted Tennessee over and over and over again. I don't know what's going to happen with Tennessee, but that is a huge loss. And as you mentioned in our opening segment, Jameis Winston is out for the season, and Trevor Simeon is not Jameis Winston. He is not crab legs. He is not the man at the Publix. So tell me, Coach, how do you deal with injuries at this time of the year? Because we're in week 9, coming up on week 10. We're at that halfway point almost, pretty much. And man, how do you deal with it?
It's tough. And the thing about this with them, like that, he is their running game. I mean, their line is good, but he is their running game. So now they're going to have to figure it out how they're going to have to get by and things they're going to have to do differently. Maybe, they were more of a power scheme, and now they might have to be more of a trap and, more screens to kind of slow the rush up because the rush is going to be coming at the quarterback now that they don't have the same running game or the same threat in the backfield. So dealing with
Well, they
injuries, you
did
hope.
sign Adrian Peterson, sir. They did sign A all day.
Applesauce.
Applesauce,
That shit would have
Alabama.
been good 5 years ago if they'd have signed Adrian Peterson, not 2021 Adrian Peterson. He
Oh,
ain't.
man.
No, man. Come on, man.
Okay.
Stop it. Stop.
Well, on that note, we will come back and talk about my horrific day, strictly for entertainment purposes only. But I wasn't entertained, and we'll be right back after this short break.
The vision of the CKA SAVE project is to use the combination of academics and athletics as a catalyst to lifelong success. Thus, the CKA SAVE project works to improve student-athlete academic and athletic performance by assisting student-athletes with transitional and transferable skills such as time management and organizational skills, along with the ability to self-advocate to help improve performance. However, we cannot do our work without the help of supporters like you. Consider donating to the CKA SAVE project. We accept tax-deductible contributions in a number of ways, including Venmo and Cash App at CKA SAVE project, or directly at the main page of our website, www.ckasaveproject.org. Simply click the donate button. We thank you in advance for your continued support.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast as we talk about previews for week 10. We got the OCP top 5, and it starts off with Arizona. They were going to be number 1 because Colt McCoy got a win. So that right there sums it up. 2, I've got the LA Rams, and that might be a short-lived thing, but they're playing very well, and I'm anticipating them getting a win tonight. 3 is Baltimore. Great bounce back. Made it tougher than it should be. I'm having some problems with Lamar Jackson, though, man. Some of his decision making gives me
What?
pause.
Really?
But, they still get the W's. 4 is Tennessee because they still are 6-2, and just as we talk about in our college episodes, we have to allow nature to take its course.
Yes.
And I believe nature will take its course very quickly over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And number 5 is Tampa Bay, and I've got 2 teams on the outside looking in, Dallas and Buffalo, because you can't lose those 2 games and be in the OCP top 5. So with merchandise coming soon, and man, get on the phone and get that order in. Tell me what the franchise 5 is looking like.
I'm big on Arizona as it is. I'll go Baltimore, Tampa Bay, uh, the Rams, and I can't put Tennessee there with your.
They're still 6-2,
Yeah,
Coach.
but your boy gone, man. I got to go with Buffalo at 5.
They lost to Jacksonville and scored 6
But
points.
hey, I can't put nobody. I want to put Cleveland in there, but they still got Cleveland and New Orleans let me down.
And speaking of letting down, oh my goodness. So I had 5 games on my board. And if you follow me at CKA Save Project on Twitter, you would have seen that legitimately I posted. So I had Houston plus 5.5 with a 6-point cushion. They lost. I had Baltimore -6, and somebody wanted to throw it and get it batted in the air when we could have gone down and got a win. But we'll take the field goal, but that was a loss. I actually wanted Cleveland, but I stayed with the computer and went Cincinnati -2.5. That was a big loss. Green Bay +7 was the win because I thought Jordan Love would play better, but thankfully, Kansas City played awful. And the one that really got me, I had the Los Angeles Chargers and the Philadelphia Eagles under 50. Since when did they become Wake Forest defense, scored all these points? Yeah, shameless shout and insult to Wake Forest. So I go 1-4 today, which tumbles my season record to 17-16, which is 51%, which is now officially below my goal of 53%. And Coach, I am just not in a good mood. But there's always next week.
Yes,
so here are the Week 10 previews. 2 games I'm keeping an eye on, not officially yet, but New Orleans is playing Tennessee. So Tennessee could be on a 2-game losing streak by the next time we get on the air. And Cleveland at New England. That's something I'm going to pay attention to. And the teams on a bye week: Chicago, Cincinnati, New York Giants, and Houston. Mm-hmm. Anything you're thinking about, sir?
First, I want to apologize to DeLon Parrish, the head coach at Wise High School, for you having so much disdain for his Demon Deacons.
Oh my goodness! Giving up 1,000 points over this season.
Coach Parrish is a 4-time ACC Kodak Academic All-American with the Demon Deacons. So I will give that back. Let's apologize for that, young fella. But yeah, I think that 50. I would have lost everything with that under 50 clip. I almost said Clippers.
I almost said Clippers too.
The Chargers and the Eagles, I definitely would have never expected them two to combine for more than 50 points.
Man, I do want to make a brief announcement. Next week's Top Shelf Tuesday edition will be a kickoff edition to, you can see it on the YouTube, our Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. It is released on Monday, November 15th, and my tag team partner has graciously allowed me the opportunity to share some of the contents of the books, thoughts, and everything behind it. So we will take a brief hiatus next week on the NFL to do a proper kickoff to the book. Coach, any final thoughts before we wrap up today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches podcast?
No, sir. Nothing else. I'm so glad that we've reached episode 51 currently right here. I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you and listeners for tuning in, and we'll continue to grow this thing.
Yes, indeed. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, I am Dr. Keith Adams, saying thank you for listening and or watching the OCP, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube so you don't miss an episode. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at CoachesOdd. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.